What's up, guys? Welcome to the Salience Project. My name is Alec Cosio, and this is Alexi Cortez. And here at the
What's going
Salience
on?
Project, we use science-based tools and protocols to help optimize the human experience. Saliency is the detection process, which is considered to be the key attentional mechanism that facilitates learning and survival by enabling organisms to focus their limited perceptual and cognitive resources on the most pertinent subset of available sensory data. A little recap from the previous episode, we talked about self-discipline. We focused on the mindset of self-discipline and how that can lead to goals, the difference between wants and needs, and how mindfulness can help you differentiate the difference between wants and needs. And then also, finally, we wrapped up with training using saliency awareness to train the mindset for better self-discipline. So for today's episode, we're going to cover mindset. Alexi, you want to drop into a little bit about what mindset is and why it pertains to everyone all the time, everywhere?
Yeah. So last week the self-discipline, and it came up where if we don't have a mindset towards like wanting to be better and be more disciplined, it'll never work for us, right? So a definition that Dr. Aaliyah Crum used was or defined for mindset is core beliefs or assumptions that we have about a domain or category of things that orient us towards a particular set of explanations, expectations, or goals, right? So beliefs about a domain that lead us towards thinking in certain ways or wanting to achieve certain things or coming to certain conclusions about certain things. And for a long time, I definitely didn't realize that my mindset, and that it wasn't one mindset, that it's many mindsets towards many different things. And I didn't realize that that was really at the core of all the other decisions that I made in my life.
Absolutely.
And
I
so
think,
hearing about that definitely piqued my interest.
yeah, I really think that the definition of a mindset is important, but what people forget is they forget that the mindset is present at all times in every moment, in every situation. Um, there's a subconscious, like, meta mindset framework that we have that's encoded with our belief systems, our ethics codes, the morals and values that we have, the type of person that we are, that kind of reorient our mindset at all times. And so I might walk into a room, and because I am who I am, Alec Cosio, you know, I enter a room and I have a completely different mindset than when Alexi enters the room. And it's about reframing and understanding how your mindset actually can help you, hurt you, change your behavior, help you progress. If you make a mistake, what was in that mindset that helps you make that decision. So it's really kind of like entering into the programming of your mind as to, like, what was I feeling and thinking in that moment. That's the whole mindset.
Absolutely. Um, right. So you hit on like the three phases, right, that that it takes to kind of begin to change our mindset. So the meta mindset, and first it's to realize we have them. Second, it's to be able to ask ourselves, what are the effects of the mindset that I have about X? Is it helpful to me or is it harmful to me? And
Right.
beginning to ask those questions in real time um, allows you to handle situations much better. And we have to we have to learn how to handle stress, which our mindset towards stress can be helpful or harmful, right? And then so the third thing in changing the mindset would be seek out ways to adopt a new mindset. So listening to podcasts, chatting ideas, brainstorming, all these things, doing your research that will allow you to figure out what the truth is and what you should actually be doing in order to optimize yourself.
Absolutely. I think on that note, a lot of times we run into people who are very rigid, who are very stubborn, and you try to. I wouldn't say kids because kids are very open minded, but mostly like adults. And when you try to explain something to them or try to help them see something in a different way, they don't have the mindset to be able to restructure themselves or like reposition themselves to even take your perspective into account. For example,
Yeah. So, well, hold on. Why do you think that is?
I think, well, I can't explain it for everyone, but I do think that age has a lot to do with it.
Yeah,
And
I agree. And why
and
age?
people get stuck in their ways. Like people get
And
stuck.
yeah, and so why do you think that happens? Why do you think they get stuck in why do you think we get stuck in our ways? Because it happens to me as well.
Yeah. Um I actually don't have the answer to that. I wish I wish
Right. So I mean, I don't know if I have the answer either, but
I
it just
think
makes me think about like the idea behind you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and that is just like a cliche saying, but there's like the older we get, the more like it's harder to learn things. It's like our brain is never not in the state of mind that it was when we were younger, which is neuroplasticity.
of course.
And so like it's not that they are conscious like subconscious, it's more subconsciously being stubborn because the neurons just aren't in a state of mind where they can start to reconstruct themselves, and not maybe not because you don't reconstruct in real time, but start to have the chemicals acetylcholine, epinephrine flowing in the brain.
I really do think it would go even one step further. Because the only way that, like, for example, if I step onto a field and I'm being coached by somebody and I don't have respect for this person or I don't see that they have knowledge of what they're trying to teach me, I'm going to have a very rigid mindset to what they're saying. And what they're saying might have truth and truth and it, it might have truth to it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to be as open minded to as if it were like Pep Guardiola talking to me.
No, of course not.
When I place this authority figure ahead of me, and it's like, okay, cool, you're an expert on the subject. I respect you. I think a lot of it has to do with, you know, do you trust this person, right? Is there trust? Is there credibility? There's a lot of like uh, perceptual awareness that we intrinsically have to feel in order for us to even open up access to that mindset, to
Yep,
being able to be
I
like
agree.
moldable. Um, and so I think, yes, it has to do with a lot of like the age, neuroplasticity, um, biochemical feedback, et cetera, that comes with age. But I think a lot of it has to do with having the ability to like if your mind is not not port accessed open, you have to create that port access,
Yeah,
right? So I have to, like you kind of said, in the three ways of changing your mindset, I have to create a new mindset that's going to allow me to be more open to the sensory data that's coming in, right? An example of
yes.
that I was talking crypto. I'm a big crypto fanatic, with an older gentleman from London. He's probably twice my age, and he just couldn't wrap his mind around why crypto existed, what was the purpose, blah 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 blah, and it really dawned on me that like this guy went through so many changes of banking systems, going from like the check to the credit card, going from like IOUs to the check, et cetera, et cetera. Um, that it was hard for him to transition as quickly as I was able to transition because I've just recently gotten into the banking system. And so for me, this is like something brand new. So it's really easy for me to get um, excited about it than it is for him. He sees it as, oh shoot, this is like another thing that I have to add to my to-do list. Now it's a burden.
Yeah.
I don't have the mindset to be able to go learn about it, right? And I could sit there and explain it to him and try to create examples and blah blah blah, but he just didn't have the open mindset to even understand it.
So did you try to talk to him about mindset?
I did not actually. What I did was is I sent him a series of papers where he could sit down and learn. And it didn't
Sure.
come from me. It was coming from, I actually sent him
The
the
actual
Bitcoin,
sources,
yeah,
yeah.
the Bitcoin white papers, which is like Satoshi Nakamoto's like
Address.
expression for why he created this.
Yeah.
And so now if he wants to go learn, he has the mindset, he can sit down and do it himself. And I think this story for me brings a lot of insight because somebody can try to teach you something, but you can also have the mindset to go learn it yourself. You can be autodidactic. Is that what I think the word is?
Just just
Autodidactic, which is where you want to go learn yourself.
yeah, autonomy is like another word.
Yeah,
Just being autonomous, an autonomous learner, where it's like I don't have to have someone in my ear or standing in front of me, telling me what I should and shouldn't know.
right.
You know?
And I think it's so important to address the concept of understanding that in every single moment, granted, obviously, um, if you're like at your house relaxing, whatever, like you still are having a mindset about a situation. You're like feelings are still arising about certain things because you're constantly getting sensory data into your framework. When you go through social media and you look at different posts, you have a mindset about certain people, about certain things, about, what I'm saying? And so you have this internal disposition that's constantly bugging and debugging itself to try to like error correct for all the things that are happening around you. And if you understand that, when you go to a situation where you want to be as open minded as possible, you can create that portal that you need for that situation. Right. So example, when I
Yeah.
go to a lesson or when I go to a conference or when I go to a lecture, like I can go in there with the mindset of, hey, I'm going to learn, I'm going to be open minded, blah, blah, blah. And I'm setting myself up for the most pertinent information like absorption possible.
Okay.
And then from there, the things that stand out to me is like the things that I take notes on, the things that are
Okay.
relevant.
Yeah, yeah. The things that like pique your interest and that you want to go back to
Hmm.
and study more on. No, I agree, and that's what I take my notes on. Is just the things that stand out in my mind that make me
Right.
think more. Right. Um, no, but so like, how do you think you we go? How do you think people should go about like helping their loved ones and like you know beginning to reframe and get in this mindset? Because I think it's a mindset about mindsets where it's like I can sit here and reframe my mindset in this situation at this very moment, and it might work. It could work in this moment, and maybe not in the next moment.
Right. Um, I think for your loved ones and your family members and your friends and those in your tight circles, it's very important that you lead by example. It's very important that you demonstrate an open mindset, a debugging framework, um, whether there is conflict or growth or you're working together, whatever. You are constantly trying to lead through the example of, hey, I might be wrong, I might be right. I'm willing to acknowledge when I'm wrong. I'm willing to try to show you when I'm right. And be in a state of ebb and flow with that person so that they don't have resistance, because it's when moments of like tension, friction, stress, resistance, that's when people tend to like get rigid.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
I agree
saying?
with that.
So and
And
the, like
because
like the
it's like
whole
safe, because it's safe, right? Right, because it's the uncomfortable decision is the one that you're not used to. Like
right.
most, that's actually really interesting. I haven't thought about that, but like I don't know. As Doctor Huberman Lab, he was saying something. I believe it was him. But where like when a child is like the DCF or whatever, the child services comes in and takes a child from an abusive parent, the
Okay.
child will still go back and cling to the abusive parent instead of going with DCF. And that's because we're more comfortable with what we know than what we don't know. And
Absolutely.
that mindset that where it's like I am going to choose the comfortable thing here in this choice. Do you understand? Do you follow where I'm going with that?
I do understand where you're going with that, and it's really hard to look at it through the eyes of a child, but I definitely think that there can be something to be learned from through the experience of an adult. So if I was actually talking to a friend earlier today, if you're in an abusive relationship, you have to have the mindset of, this is not working for me. Why is this creating tension? And do kind of like the Socratic method of questioning your experience.
Yeah, but people, I mean, I can't say people, I guess, but it seems like people are so afraid of, like, they're like, I won't be able to survive in this world without this person or survive without this job. I can't go start my own business, like, because they're scared and they're uncomfortable.
Yeah. Uh, a lot of that has to do with their own personal insecurities of, who they are, what they feel. And facing your own reality is very challenging for people to do. When you're stuck facing your own decisions or your own um, faults or failures, it's challenging to sit there and understand it. But if you can have the mindset of, I have to go back and watch my film so I know what I did wrong, then you're opening up yourself for a learning experience on the other side where growth and development can happen. But if you're expecting yourself to be flawless and perfect and you never have to change and everybody else is wrong and blah blah blah, blah, that rigidity is going to be represented in your mindset.
What is, I guess, what is your mindset towards failure?
My mindset towards failure has been reframed.
So give me your old one to your new one.
My old one was, I tried not to fail. Like, I would try my best not to fail. Everything was about success. But then I was around mentors and teachers that taught me about the failure to success, like failure way to success.
Yeah,
and
failure way to success.
Failure way to success. And what that means is,
I like that.
Yeah, if you try, you might not get it, but that effort or that rep will put you one step closer towards the successful act or whatever you want to do, right? So, like, for example, building my business, like, I've been trying and trying and trying to get an email list of 100 people that are interested in my product and interested in my brand and interested in me. And the more I would try and try and try and try and try, it would come back with like one email list or one email, two emails, three emails. Well, now I have a Facebook page with 175 follows, right? So yes, my trying didn't pay off immediately, but over time it's compounded.
Yeah.
And so I'm getting better at representing myself. I'm getting better at, documenting my journey. I'm getting better at understanding how to connect with other people through interfaces, which before I didn't really understand. Like, now I'm starting to grasp the concept of like social media based tools. And it's really opened up my mindset into like how I interact and how I present myself on these platforms. Because before I was like, oh, these are a waste of time. Like, they just take energy, blah, blah, blah. But if you learn to be disciplined and if you have the right mindset, they can actually be very useful because you can help generate community.
Useful.
Yeah, generate community, get your information out there, get your ideas out there. You can present yourself. You can publicize yourself. Yeah. Whatever you want to do, you can do it. And it's all just about you continuing to try and try and try and try and try. And then those who are like you will join you. I don't know if that answered your question, by the way.
No, it absolutely did. Absolutely.
How do you reframe your mindset for failure? And so that's,
well, it's so, I mean, for the audience, it's like, I mean, for them to hear how you have gone through your mindset reframing, and it might help them and help all of us
And
be able to see how.
it's been a constant reframing. It's not like today I've figured it out and so I'm done. It's like
It's like you go back and forth through it,
this will be
you
a
know,
constant
because you get caught
reflection.
up in it.
Yeah, this will be a constant reflection process, documenting, journaling, understanding. Um, and then every time like I do it, it becomes more subconscious. And now I can check myself without even having to go back.
Yeah,
So now it's
I
like a
agree.
mental checklist. Like, oh, okay, how'd you do today? How are you doing this week? And then those things will arise. Oh, I have to
Absolutely.
connect with my community. I have to do a weekly update. I have to,
Well,
check
I
in on
should.
them.
So I want to talk about what is your mindset towards using certain verbiage, or so. I'll like my mindset towards like trying, or towards like I have to do something, right? Where it's like it's I they the words can be taken out of context. Like it's not like the word itself is wrong, right? But it's like when I was in like middle school and like kids would be like, "Oh, you're a tryhard. You're a tryhard." You know what I'm talking about?
Hmm.
And like just like I'm trying to do this. Like it should be more of like I was never a tryhard. I just was. I loved the sport. I loved going hard. Like I loved playing at the best of my ability. Like that was always what I was trying to do. Trying, right? That is just always what I was doing. Always, right? And then so like me building my business, like I didn't try. I lived my life, and like what I did has gotten me to a facility. It wasn't like as soon as I started trying, that's when everything and for me in my life, when as soon as I started trying to do this and do that, like I lost a part of me, I guess, in my sense, right? Where it was like everything I do, I'm just Alexi. Like I'm not, or and I'm just living. Like I want my word to be spread out, and I'm just gonna do whatever I think is gonna make that happen. And if it works, it works, and I will never give up. I will never fail. But I'm not. Or sorry, I'm not. I will never fail. I will never not fail. But I will I don't like the verbiage try. And then same thing with like I have to do this. It's like I don't have to be on this call with you right now. And you know that and I know that. And like I don't have to like go to work tomorrow or in a couple hours. Like I don't have to do anything, right? And then
Right.
so using those verbiages like even though it's we're not thinking about it when we say it, thinking about that concept, like the mindset behind that does have an effect.
Yeah. And I think you highlight a very important point that a lot of people miss in their lives. And that is the lesson that Paulo Coelho talked about in his Four Agreements. Or was it Don Miguel Ruiz? I think it was Don Miguel Ruiz. Don Miguel Ruiz in the Four Agreements. One of the Mesoamerican or the Toltec codes is to be very delicate with your words or be very careful with your words. Why? Because my mind or my person or my spirit doesn't decode itself through anything else but language, right? So if I'm not careful with my words, my mindset, my spiritual self will not understand the difference between try, must, do, all the
Yeah.
things that we're capable of. And so
Uh,
that's where language to me is very, very valuable. Very valuable. Because by you
extremely.
telling yourself something in a certain way, you change the perspective of how you feel about it. You can change the sensation behind the motivation. You can change a lot of the internal drivers just by how you word it to yourself. That's why
Word it
I'm
to
a very big
yourself.
fan of I am instead of I'm,
Yeah.
because I am is the word I am. It's separate. It's
Yeah,
I
yeah,
am
yeah.
amazing. I am incredible. I am
No, just there's more
glorious.
emphasis the
There's
more
more
yeah, yeah.
emphasis to me than I'm.
Yeah.
And my mind doesn't tell the difference. Like when I write it, it's the same, but I am is more valuable to me because I am glory. I am God. I am everything that I want to be. Right. And so
Right.
the
So
code, language, using language as a code, if we're delicate with our words and we reframe the things that we say internally carefully, we can actually create more powerful change in our personal life, in our personal self, in our environment around us.
mindsets
Right. In the mindsets of how we deal with others.
and
Right.
and
Like if
and the like. So go ahead. Go ahead.
a huge example of that would be like when you teach, right? You don't ever tell a kid because I said so.
No.
Because that will
Yeah.
he will send you to God knows where in his mind, right?
Yeah.
When he asks why, you have to break it down. You have to give him the understanding. He has to conceptualize it, and you have to use your words very carefully. I actually had a conversation with the coach the other day who I'm actually mentoring because I was telling him this. If you
Yeah.
don't explain your session clearly with lots of context, imagery, examples, the players will not grasp what you're trying to teach them, and they will just do it
Yeah.
based on mechanics.
Yeah.
And there's no learning involved there.
I wouldn't say that there's none, but not the
Well,
most efficient. Not
not
the
as
most
not as
efficient though.
effective. Not as
Or
effective.
learning of the wrong things. Right. Learning of the wrong
Right.
ideas and the
So
wrong
that's why
things.
language to me is very important to shape the mindset. Because like you said, instead of saying I have to, you should reframe it to I get to.
I get to,
I
right? And we've
get
all
to be
heard
on
it,
this.
but we
Yeah.
get so just caught into our daily speech that it just becomes, even though, like, I know your mindset is that you enjoy everything you do to the fullest. And,
Facts.
but you're like someone that doesn't know you might be like, oh, he's saying I have to. Like, it's like, oh, he has to, you know?
Yeah.
And, but so then it gets to like what you're saying, it gets to the belief effects. So like mindset is so important, and the reason why we're talking about it, and it's so emphasized in is because belief effects actually exist, right? So the milkshake study that we talked about last time, where
Yes.
the same group of people came in first week, they had either a uh, what was
The
told the
same milkshake,
small
right?
low calorie, yeah,
Yeah.
low calorie milkshake, 150 calories first week. Then they were told the next time they came in that it was a 600 calorie indulgent delicious milkshake, right? So low fat diet milkshake, beautifully crafted milkshake. And then but they ended up being the same milkshake, 300 calories, no taste and no difference in taste. And one group was more satisfied with their meat with their milkshake than the other group. Right? They didn't feel as full if they had the diet milkshake, or if they thought they had the diet milkshake, it felt fuller if they thought they had the indulgent milkshake. And so that study and the hotel worker study and many more by Dr. Aaliyah Crum, and we'll put links out for her website so you guys can go do your own research. But it's just these belief effects really have a, a dramatic outcome on the results of whatever it is you're trying to do. So if I want to be a professional soccer player, I'm more likely to be a soccer player if I believe that I will be than I am if I was like, it only comes through opportunity and through politics, and
Right.
you have to get lucky, and and whatever and whatever. It's like, no, we create our own opportunities by believing that we are going to make it as a pro, or I'm going to make it into whatever. The belief of it actually drives us to it and changes our physiological um, characteristics. So to an injury, if I believe that I am doing the things that will cure me or help me heal faster, then I absolutely will have a better outcome towards that goal than I would if I was like, ah, this sucks, I'm going to do it, but it's probably not doing anything.
Yeah.
I'm going to be bedridden for 9 months.
I've
You know,
one of the it's so funny you mentioned that. When I first got injured on Saturday, the first thing I did when I got home was I went to the grocery store and bought a steak because I thought that the protein in the steak and like all the macronutrients and micronutrients were going to help me heal.
I think
Literally,
that was a very
literally.
logic. I think that was a very logical
Yeah, so I bought a
choice.
$21 steak. $21
Dang,
steak. It was sick. It was amazing.
dang,
It
you
was
went
amazing.
hard,
Yeah,
bro.
exactly. I was
Whoa,
like, but like, if you think
that's
about it,
funny,
like
man.
the difference between like needs and wants, like my body needed it. So it was not a matter of $21 or not $21. It was like, I have to have this steak because this is going to be what's best for me.
And I mean, it definitely was a good idea and a very logical um, thing to do. But because you believe that it's gonna help you, it absolutely will. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
And that's why like my swelling has gone down. I've been able to bike after a few days. Like, you know, at first I thought I had broken my knee, like broken it. And then when I, dude, it was bad. When I
Bro,
figured,
isn't it crazy how many different thought processes you go through
oh my
when
gosh,
you get an injury? Like it's like
yes,
so many different mindsets, bro. And
so
like
many different mindsets. But it's like you have to build the protocol of checking yourself. Like, imagine if I was just like in
and just
bed, like super
yeah.
sad, like paranoid, you know, how miserable that would be versus like, no, I'm going to be fine. Like, I'm out coaching the next day. I'll be okay. Like, you know, the mindset
The
really
mindset
allows
is
you
it's
to,
the beginning of it all, man.
it's the
It's
beginning of the power,
oh
bro. Like, you can
yeah.
really empower yourself to do amazing things if your mindset is amazing. Like, if your mindset is stronger than the person next to you, you will be more successful.
Yeah, it
It's
doesn't matter
just
if they're
it's
bigger, better, stronger. It
yeah.
doesn't
If
matter.
if if my mindset is more determined, my mindset is more focused, is my mindset is more impactful to me in that moment, I will overcome anything. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons from this conversation is that your mindset really can make you or break you. But
It can make you.
if you don't check that, if you don't check in with yourself, how am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way? What's going on? What's the trigger? How can I change this? You know, how is this helping me? Why is this good? You know, if you don't check yourself, it can get away from
Yeah,
you.
I'm constantly asking myself, is this helpful or is this harmful now?
Yeah.
Is what I think about this
Building
going
that
to,
internal practice, right? Building
you
that
know?
internal protocol of like checking yourself, like, hey, should I eat this hamburger? Is this going to help me? Or should I just have the salad? Right? Like
Yeah.
just constantly being in a state of awareness, saliency awareness, you know? What's what's going on inside me? How is this going to help? Blah, 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 blah. Like that's really, we're building that internal voice with ourselves
Learning
constantly.
to talk to yourself.
Right.
Where yesterday you and I were chatting about how it's taboo to talk to yourself. You know, where it's like the our society, because when we were kids it was like you weren't, like if you were caught talking to yourself you were a crazy person, you know, like.
Yeah.
And it's because I mean, to an extent, if you're out loud yelling at yourself in the middle of the street, you know, then I mean maybe you are a little crazy. But like I have internal conversations with myself all day every day,
Right.
sometimes to the point where it's like you need to immerse yourself more into the moment rather than asking yourself, why is he doing that, why is he saying that, and you know, like, why does he believe that or she say that, and it's like just be more in the moment, right? So it's being
I think
salient
that's
that I'm too caught in my awareness and in my consciousness and getting more into the moment, right? Because we have to be able to ebb and flow in and out of those moments.
right. Kind of like what we're, and I like the thing you posted the other day on our platform. These dogs want to play with my dog, but my dog's not here. What you posted on the platform of like transcendence, of about like merging the outside world and the inside world together, and that's really like how you can float through your experience and can embody your experience. Is like sometimes there's moments where you need to detach from the outside world and you need to go into an introspective state and you need to work on your own and like do your own thing and be in that mode of you so that you can cut all the fat outside, you know, do all the
Yeah.
things that you need to be doing. And then sometimes it's good to interact with and have that social connection and go do the things. And I think a well-rounded lifestyle is a balance of both. You wake up, you have your meditation, you by yourself. You do your journaling, you by yourself. You go do your coffee, you have like a morning prep call with one of your customers, clients, whatever. You go connect socially with a person. You go out, you do a bit of yoga, or you go to the gym and you're socializing with people, and then you go out and you do your work. Like, that's a well-rounded lifestyle. But if you're just by yourself or just with others, you don't have the ebb and flow.
You don't. Yeah,
And
you don't
so
have the beauty of both sides of it.
You need that mindset switch. Okay, by myself, interpersonal growth, development, work, blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. Now I have to switch mindsets and go social environment, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, how can I motivate somebody, how can I help somebody, blah, blah, blah. And then transitioning between those, you're training yourself. Read the room, be better.
You're learning to read yourself and see where you need to be and push yourself into that direction.
Absolutely. Very powerful tools.
Very, very powerful. So in terms of the mindset towards what I believe will help me, right? Because that's a mindset, right? So my mindset definitely changed after watching and reading more from Aaliyah Crum, and my mindset towards the fact that if I just believe in it, is making things change in my body, things adapt to my body that I don't even realize. It changed the mindset that I have, right? So encouraging people to go out and study more and read more and listen more will allow them to internalize these things and ask themselves, well, is this research, is this enough to change my mindset?
Yeah.
Because I have a mindset towards beliefs right now.
Personally, I think it's easier to check your mindset in moments of stress. It's easier to understand that you have a certain disposition in a moment of stress than in a moment of like calm relaxation. It's easier to auto-correct in the moment of like, why is this person making me angry? Or why am I feeling this emotion towards this specific thing? Right? Why is this thing a drag to me? That's where you can actually do a lot of the work training, as opposed to like, okay, cool, I'm in my room by myself, I got to work. That it's a lot easier for you to do that in that moment of stress, because I think kind of like we've said before, and I think I don't know if we talked about stress. I think it was one of the topics. But anyways,
well, we should talk about it some more, like the mindset towards stress and how beneficial.
But I definitely think that stress is a signal mechanism towards your body feeling a certain way about something that's giving you sensory information that you need to do something different or have a different approach, or
go forward,
or go forward, or whatever. It's like stress is an internal evolutionary signaling mechanism for you to change some type of behavior internally.
And no, that's exactly what it is.
So that you can actually get a different result.
It's non-specific, so it doesn't know the difference between a big test, a big game. If I'm hunting or being hunted, it's the same response, the same cascade of events through the brain, hormones through the body, other hormones, right? So the major hormone, epinephrine, adrenaline, is released during the stress response, right? And then so in order to be in a neuroplastic state, we need epinephrine released in the brain. It's released in the brain and in the body through the adrenals. In the brain, I'm not too sure where. And then we also need acetylcholine from 2 different places in the brain to induce the neuroplastic state, which is the ability to question yourself and restructure neurons, or begin the process of restructuring neurons and reconstructing neurons, right? So it's through stressful moments, through traumatic moments, through these life and death experiences and things where we lose jobs and lose opportunities, and it's actually releasing the things in our brain for us to change ourselves and to reshape ourselves. And this is a theory or an idea, a hypothesis that I've been thinking about a lot, where it exists for a reason. Like stress and anxiety exist for a reason. And just like vision and hair and skin colors, like they exist for a reason. It's through evolutionary adaptation. Stress has to be adaptive in order for it to exist within the population like it does. And it absolutely is adaptive, because if I'm hunting and I don't get stressed out about missing an arrow, and then now I don't now these of this neuroplastic state isn't induced, then now I'm not going to learn how to shoot the arrow better, or
Right.
it's not going to push me to want to train more so I don't miss my meal for the next 3 days, right? Because back then it wasn't like I could walk to the fridge. It was I had to create a weapon that would allow me to successfully kill an animal. And that was through failure. I'm sure a lot of tribesmen died in their efforts, but because I can learn through somebody else's traumatic experience, everybody can. It's just like naturally. Like I can watch someone go through something and it will also release the neurochemicals and neuromodulators in my brain to push me to want to learn. So evolutionarily, if stress exists, it has to be for an adaptive
To
reason,
adapt and evolve, absolutely.
to allow us to survive. Like, and there's nothing within us, from our, like, maybe now more recently, but I wouldn't even say even like within our physiology, that is negative towards us. If it was, it's a disease, an autoimmune disease. It's something that, but our biology is elite. Like it is designed to survive many environments, and that is why the human race is greatest the greatest species on this planet, is because we can adapt and survive to almost any environment, to almost any event. And that is
Right. And
because
we
of
can do it at a much faster rate than any other
at a
creature.
much faster than any other
Yeah,
creature.
like any other creature on this planet. And I think that's what allows us to be so successful. But at the same time, that's what needs to allow us to be more adaptive and more conscientious of our own environment and how we affect our own environment. Because I feel like a lot of us have gotten away from it. We've gotten kind of, I mean, society as a whole has gotten this mindset of a God complex where it's like we're the chosen ones, therefore if I want to pollute the earth and
Yeah,
extract, like I deserve it, blah 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 blah. I don't care, and that's where I feel like we've lost our way.
I would
You
argue that
know?
we are the most stuck we've ever been as a species. Even
Yeah.
though we are creating some of the most amazing and most advanced technologies and societies and and
Here's a
communities, even
great
though
way
there
to
is a lot of good in the world going on, it just seems like and it's what we hear, and it's just what the mass media is saying. It just seems like everybody's stuck in this mindset and just stuck in, like, we're not trying to evolve, because now it's no longer evolving our physical attributes, it's evolving our mental attributes,
Yeah, and I
you
think
know.
it's also even beyond that. It's evolving our spiritual attributes and how we connect with the earth. Like,
Yeah,
for example, we have advanced in so much technology and so much capability in our manufacturing and our producing, building, whatever, but we're still wasteful. And it's just
yeah.
like how can you compensate productivity without also developing waste management methods?
Natural biology has created natural waste management technology. I'm not saying like, I'm saying, like, when an animal dies, right, and is
Right.
hunted by lions, the bones and all that will, or not the bones, but like it'll all decompose into the soil, and fungi will survive on it and clean it up and decompose it and turn it into
Right.
nitrogen that the
But
soil will need.
that takes time. And what we as a species could do, one of our mindsets for the future could be to create more efficient ways of dealing with our waste. Because that's one of the things that we have neglected and it's actually catching up on us now. The fact that populations are still growing and people are still advancing, but our waste management techniques have not evolved. And how
Yeah. They're like the
we
slowest to have evolved.
yeah, and it's like, yes, that's great. We're having the new latest Samsung, blah 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 blah. You've already produced like a trillion of these, you
So
know.
the individual mindset is like, this one piece of paper, I don't care.
Yep.
Throw it, right? And it's like, well, whatever. And then so changing the mindset of the individual is
Changing the
trying to get
mindset
it
to be
into
like, hey, you are still a part of the
the
ecosystem as a
earth.
whole.
Yeah,
And that's very powerful because when you place yourself inside of when you place yourself inside of the model, your actions matter, right? When I take myself out of the model, when I'm with oneness, everything I do matters. When I take myself out and I separate myself, nothing matters. And that's where I feel like a lot of us have gone wrong, especially in like the big corporations. Like corporations don't have their own mindsets. They have cultures, they have leaders, but they don't have their own mindsets. And so nobody can go tell, for example, I don't know, of a very wasteful like of a very wasteful corporation. Nobody can go tell the Amazon packaging, right? Hey, like Amazon packaging can't think for itself and be like, hey, have a mindset of like, how can we be more eco-friendly? How can we be more
yeah,
efficient, effective? How can we be more waste appropriate? You know, like Amazon can't do that. China's manufacturing can't do that. So we have to develop a whole mindset where we place ourselves inside of the organism.
yeah.
Now we've gone off on a tangent about like developing
No,
this
I know.
on a long set, but when you do that, your actions, and I think the correlation here is when you place yourself inside that model, your actions matter. So
Yeah.
you're more
And once you
cognizant.
realize that your small tiny action has a lot more importance than you realize that it does.
Right.
Right?
For
So I don't
example,
know if you
if I look at my kitchen, I have a recycling bin and a trash can. Why? Because in this household, we recycle so that there's less waste in the landfill and there is more ability for us to deal with that.
yeah, yeah,
It's why?
absolutely.
Because my actions on a micro level matter,
Right. And then
right?
so have you read it's called The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell?
I've heard of it.
Yeah, that's a good one. You should really read that one. But it's in there. He talks about how like it's just like the small things really make the biggest difference. You know, where and a quick example is like back in like the 1980s or 90s, the New York the crime spree was just through the roof. The violence was through the roof, and many people came in and tried to fix it by doing big things. You know, we're going to arrest everybody. We're going to travel the streets of that the most crime is on, or and it's, things weren't working right. And then so one mayor came in and he was like, "We're going to clean all the graffiti off of the subway system. Like, there's going to be no graffiti anywhere in sight. And as soon as we're not going to arrest anybody when they're doing it, but as soon as we see it, we're going to take that car off the rail. We're going to clean it and then put it back, so nobody will ever see the graffiti." And by that one decision, over time, the crime went down. And why? Because if I'm a criminal and I see, wow, like they're really on taking care of the graffiti, which means nothing, which is like very minimal. Like, how am I going to get away with my crime? Right? How am I going to get, if they care so much about graffiti, how am I going to get away with violence? You
Right.
know, right? So it's like the small things really make a drastic difference.
I also you want to highlight that, you know, in the sense of like if you can implant the idea of your actions on a micro level matter to more people, if you can make their actions more meaningful, they will do the right thing more often. And
Absolutely.
I feel like that is one thing that our culture has not done a very good job of is we have not empowered people to understand that like your action of, hey, if you see somebody walking in behind you, open up the door. If you are at the shopping cart thing, put the shopping cart up. If you see somebody's wallet fall, help them. And those tiny meaningful actions, if you do that on a large scale, the world changes, right? But if you don't give people the mindset of, hey, what you do today could affect somebody tomorrow, they're less likely to do the right thing. They're less likely to care more, right? And so
Absolutely.
I feel like a job, like a job for our culture or our age group or whatever generation, is to change the mindset of, hey, what you do today could affect the generation tomorrow. And
It will affect.
you will
It
see the
will affect
evolution of change.
yeah.
Right. You
Yeah.
will see people being more conscientious, people being more respectful, and it starts with the microcosm of culture.
Bro,
You
it's so funny. I like because so I was training Jake Starling a couple weeks ago, and I asked him a question about identity. Which was, if I take everything away from you, student, athlete, player, whatever, parents, kids, if I took everything away from you, who would you be, right? And at that moment, he was like, I don't know, and then we started talking about other things and all that, and like I told him, I asked him if you think that was important or if you think it mattered that you didn't know or not, right? And then so I saw him last or Wednesday night at Linksters, and he comes up to me. He goes, "Alexi, I've really been thinking about that question you asked me. Like before you asked me, I had never thought about that once, but he's like, now I think about it all the time." And I'm like, "Dude, that one, like that's all, like that's so
That's all.
meaningful to
Yeah,
me. It's like
exactly.
because it's the one, like like a 24-year-old came up to me and is." Alexi, like, thank you, like, for making me think, because he's like, I know my soccer career's ending soon, so it's like I've really been trying to rack my brain about like what the next step was, and he's like, that question really helped me a lot. I was like, damn,
Yeah.
bro, that's fucking sick.
And that's all you need, is that you spark that change, and that change reaction could have a butterfly effect.
But,
Uh,
bro, we were all talking about it with James and Henry, and now we're all
yeah.
having a
And
debate
so
about it
now
all.
you're
Like,
all having higher level conversations just because you're operating on a higher brain wave. Like that's, for example, like when I get around my family, it's more of how can we all do our part to make the family better? How can we, these are the mindset frameworks that we're having brainstorming now. It's not like, hey, let's go do something fun. It's like, no, let's clean. My mom's like, let's do the backyard. Sweet, let's do the backyard. Everybody helps. And
yeah,
so you're reframing this mindset into not me, but we.
yeah.
And I feel like that's where a lot of empowerment comes from. Like I get to lead my life the way I want to, because I know that I'm going to impact those around me. I don't do it for
Bro,
selfish
yeah.
reasons.
No, I don't.
And
It's
if you
like
did for selfish reasons, it would run out.
you would, yeah, you would
Your
change
fuel would
course
run out.
eventually.
Your
Yeah.
fuel would run out, because there's only so much internal personal mindset desires that you want, that
I
fulfillment.
noticed I noticed that recently, like when I'm walking into like something like a big thing, like when I had the meeting with TBU or I was going to hang out with a bunch of people, where it's like I'm starting to ask myself, like, nothing else matters other than you just change one person's mentality or life, or like you say something that is impactful to help somebody in their life. Like that's the only thing you should be going to do this for. It shouldn't
Right.
be to get the job or to impress them. It's how can you help the one person in there that needed to hear what you have to say today?
Right.
And like I've been noticing that I've been saying to myself, and it's been
And it really just changed your
it's
disposition.
yeah,
Like it
exactly. It
changes
changes
your
my
disposition.
my whole physiology as I'm walking into the room.
Right.
You
It's not
know?
about, it's no longer egocentric. It's no longer narcissistic. It's more community. It's more help others. It's more give first mentality,
Yeah,
which I think is what we were conditioned to do as a tribe. Like if you think about our tribal mechanisms, how does Alexi and Alec actions, behaviors change the tribe? How do we affect tribe culture? Right. And that's where I think we're evolving to, is like we're now hitting like our late 20s and our early 30s. And like Now we're starting to get more positions of influence and respect, and like, I could eventually write a book or something. And that's where my mindset is headed. It's like, how can I continue to believe like a breadcrumb trail of cultural change for the next generation coming along, right? On a micro level, on a macro level, like that's where real world change is going to happen.
Exactly.
And
Leaving the
it
breadcrumbs, like, bro, some kid could stumble across this video and somehow want to watch it, and like that is
exactly.
all that one person is all that matters. And it's like, if he got something out of watching 10 minutes of the video, then amazing. Like, that's all we can ask for, It's like,
And
it's
the biggest takeaway of the conversation today, I definitely feel like, is making sure that you're debugging your mindset so you're the most open you can be to change, embracing it, and also delivering it. Just like you internalize it, you have to be able to reciprocate it. Like it can't just come
absolutely,
in. It has to be output as
yeah.
well. Has to be
And the
like,
more
cool.
output you give, the more input you get,
The
and
more
the more
feedback
real
you'll get.
input you
Yeah,
get.
the
Yeah,
more
yeah,
feedback you get, and you'll create that feedback mechanism. And then using
yeah.
your sensation, like triggers, emotion, feelings, heightened awareness, things like that, will help guide you into the things that you need to work on.
Bro, so I was thinking about this with the injuries, right? Because you're injured, and now my foot's a little tweaked and whatnot. Where it's like the pain sensation, it is obviously there to alert us that something's not right, right? But
Right.
what if it's also like, and this is just me talking to myself, where it's like, what if it's like actually it's giving more information than we think it is, where it's like the pain itself is telling our immune system exactly where to send the inflammation response, exactly
Right.
what nutrients need. And then, so if you believe, like, okay, that's sending me there, can I make it go faster? I believe that if I focus and meditate on it, I can make those nutrients, those chemicals shuttle there faster and do their job faster. Where it's like,
Yeah.
now it's like, I if we can talk so much to our body and move it around and do it, it has to be able to talk back to us.
Oh,
And
for
then
sure.
and then we
100%.
can respond in an even more way than just saying, I'm gonna let you do your thing and watch TV and like
That
and
is
just like
that's like the
veg out,
whole interoceptive meditative practice, is like you building a relationship with your embodiment.
Yeah,
Like, for example, the other night, like while I was sleeping, laying in bed, I was like, "You're gonna absorb this edema. You're gonna absorb this edema. You're gonna absorb this edema. I am going to absorb this edema. I am going to
yeah.
absorb this edema." And what am I telling my body physiologically? Hey, first of all, and the second thing that
Get
I was
ready
doing is
to absorb that shit.
I was like, my hand was on it where it was. My hand was touching it. Why? Because that's me triggering to my body, this is where you need to send all of the nutrients. This is where you need to
Yeah.
send all of the healing
All
mechanisms.
the
This is where
macrophages to eat
all,
all the shit
yeah,
up too.
exactly.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
why is my swelling down like various levels? Is because I've been doing all of the little things right. I've been going and getting the infrared light therapy. I've been going and eating properly. I've been walking and biking and doing all the things that I need to do. Yes, I'm still injured. I can't go out and run, but I can do all the little things right, given the mindset ability to kind of find the cheat codes instead of just laying there and letting it heal on its own, to induce it more so that it's
Yeah.
more effective
Like,
and
and
more efficient.
it's like, so then the best question is like, what is my mindset towards getting injured? Can I, if I believe and I believe and do everything in my ability to make it injured, will it, is it more likely to make my foot heal faster? Is it helpful? Is it harmful? And it's like, it doesn't really hurt it if you don't go too hard, right? Where it's like, it's actually more helpful probably if you are successful with it, where the mindset that I need to just lay here and do nothing and let it heal on its own, is that helpful or is that harmful? It's probably more harmful than it is helpful, where it's like,
Well, it just
so
depends,
now,
because like if I biked for 5 hours today, that's harmful. But if I did
harmful.
but if I did 10 minutes and then I did 10-minute elevation, 10-minute ice, no, now it's balanced. Now it's, whatever. I'm not weight bearing right now. I have my legs up on this recliner. That's more of me being in the mindset of embodiment, awareness, and things like that. But can I use pain as a signaling? Like, hey, for example, when I was biking this morning, it was very painful, right? To get my foot all the way around, like all the way
Yeah.
around on the bike. But as I did it for 10 minutes, by the
It
10th
got
minute,
looser and
it was
looser.
easy, right? And I was able to go 10 minutes. But I think that's just like, kind of like you're saying, that's the body sensing what's going on. And that's me overcoming what the body has to do. And so now, mindset, I've done my biking, I've done my rest. Now I can go walk around a little bit.
Yeah, but it's like for the average person, I would say, and this is definitely from experience from my clients, where it's like, and from myself, where you get injured and you're like, fuck, I'm fucked. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like even that yesterday, that idea creeps in, where it's like this could be
Well,
catastrophic, and then like we were saying, like you when you're aware of yourself, you learn to realize. I asked myself, is thinking this catastrophic helpful or harmful? Probably more harmful. So I know, you know what I mean. And then now it
yeah.
allows me to kind of change into the mindset of I'm just like it's my body's already started the healing process. Like it's already stronger than it was 2 hours ago. Like
Yeah,
my body is
absolutely.
elite. I've done everything prior, all the
Dude,
injury
that is
prevention,
that
all
is
the
the whole reason
strengthening.
why I didn't break a bone, tear a ligament, or do anything, is because I have done so much preventative injury prevention training that the edema was just the worst thing that it could happen.
Yeah, bro. As hard as I stepped yesterday, and as fast as I was going, and as cold as I was because I wasn't warmed up at all,
That's the worst, bro.
that's
That's why. That's why.
that's why 100%. But even then, like, bro, the amount that I stepped, like, I stepped way harder than I needed to, and I think an average person would have hurt their foot way more. Like, cause I walk normal right now. Like, I can
Oh, I
even
think an
run.
average person would have blown their knee out if they would have done what I did.
Exactly,
For sure. Like the
blown
average
it out.
person would have broken their patella, shattered their patella, or fractured their
Ripped a tendon or
femur,
two
or
or
ripped a
something. Yeah.
tendon or ligament, whatever. And the worst thing that happened to me was I have a massive edema. So like that's signaling to me, hey, you're doing something okay, right? And
Yeah,
so yes, my mindset originally after the injury, I was sad. I really
of
was. I
course,
was
and that's
really sad.
good.
I
Of
was really sad.
course.
And why? Because I'm missing nationals. I don't get to go play with Alex and Luca, who are my best friend and my family member. I've been working really hard and training hard for this moment. Like this is a massive game for me, blah, blah, blah. And I made a stupid mistake. But what did that sadness signal to me? What did that emotion signal to me? That emotion changed my mindset of when you are playing, do not reach for balls unless you can win them 100%. There is lessons to be
Yeah,
had here,
you learned
right?
a lesson. Yeah,
And so
same.
now I'm wiser because of this. And what am I going to teach my players? If you can't reach that ball, if you can't win that tackle, don't do it. Stay on your feet, track, move, defend. You'll lose the ball. It's fine. I'm okay with that. But you're not going to
If
get into
you're
an injury.
if you're cold, don't go too hard. You
Exactly.
know. But the kid was on me, bro. You gotta beat him sometimes. You know what I mean?
Well, in the meantime, dude, take care of your injury.
Yeah.
We'll chat later. I really appreciate this call and check your mindset, okay?
Yeah. Check your mindset. Thank you for watching. We'll see you guys soon.
All right, bro. Take it easy, Lex.
Peace.
Peace.